Hey everyone. We're back for the finale of our series of Godkiller. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. I'm running a game. Mads, how about you?
I'm Mads, she, they pronouns. I am playing Walong Tao, she, they. And yeah, I faced off against Orphan Maker last time. Took them out, trying to forgive, but also trying to stave off their minions, the Wolf's Head. But even without the Orphan Maker, the Wolf's Head are still coming inexorably to the City of Towers. And my little stunt uh, with taking out Orphan Maker spurred on the wizards, or like, signaled to the rebellion um, in the city to rise up against the wizards, and the wizards were about to take them out, and I couldn't let that happen. And unfortunately, it looks like it went all the way overkill and took out the wizards. So now, just trying to figure out the chaos because the Wolf's Head are coming. The rebellion thinks that they're going to be able to amass enough people to take them on, and looks like pestilence is coming. And so, Wall prayed for guidance and found that there was something nearby, just at the edge or right outside of the city, that has access to a weapon that she may be able to use. So we'll have to see. Did I forget
Um,
anything?
yeah. I mean, I guess this one is for all the marbles, right?
All the marbles, convergence of warring humans, heedless god, and yeah, while not doing so great.
Mhm.
Basically, we have like 5 checkbox of strain, and she's checked off 4.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, so she's at her
Uh,
last nadir. We'll see how this goes.
yeah. So I think the last week we left Wall like uh staggering through the streets to the ruins of a tower which was pointed out. Um and I think the city obviously is in turmoil with everything that has gone on. But even so, I think the first thing that strikes you is the kind of the buzz on the streets, even in the middle of the night. Maybe people don't feel quite safe in their beds, but there's a mix of that, but also like of post-revolutionary high, right? Um, but I think, as you find your way to the tower, there is also a few people who seem to recognize you, if not directly from, say, being in that rebels corner, then by reputation. And I think as you move, you find it harder and harder to move without having to address people individually or in small groups. And it's a lot of, I don't know, it feels strange, right? Like some random people on the street thanking you for saving them and like pressing small gifts that maybe they can barely afford, parcels of food or votive prayers. And then I think there are also calls on you to save them from the danger that has not yet struck, the disease which is starting to be felt within the city. Um, and I think probably the most jarring or shocking is when one of these people who's definitely your elder, calls you by like a parent, like a mother or a father, like asking you to take care of him. Um, and it definitely has some kind of vibes of your ancient visions of your people in ages gone by.
Try to, even in my exhaustion, I think, try to. It's wonderful that you believe this, but you really need to gather together, find the rebel forces, find shelter, be ready. If you are not able to fight, be ready to evacuate. The city is not made of the homes, the buildings, the bricks. It's made up of the people. You need to protect yourselves. And so if you're not able to fight and not able to defend the city, defend your community, you need to run. You need to be ready to run. And I mean, like, she's just going to refer them to the tavern where the Mage Eaters rebels are, and like, kind of like do that as the point of contact as
Mm.
she's trying to get to this through this sea of people and just trying to get to that place where she knows, senses, thinks there's a weapon that she can use against pestilence.
Yeah.
This was against pestilence, right? This wasn't like trying to deal with the wolf's head, because that's a completely different threat altogether.
Yeah, I think your prayer was specifically about pestilence, but of course there were many dangers in your thoughts when you prayed.
Right.
Right.
I mean, like, she helped, like, fortify the wall,
Mhm.
like, to try and delay the wolf's head. But I mean, they're going to break through that, soon. So she's got to
Yeah.
deal with the two. She's got to deal with the two. I guess, and almost like a pincer movement against her. She feels, and that's why she's desperate to get to this buried, this rubble, and try to figure out what she finds. Yeah.
Mm. And yeah, I think like a good portion of people, know exactly who you're talking about and say, "Oh, let's go to the King's Head," which
Mm-hmm.
is probably how it's being referred to by its old name again. And some people look a little bit confused and they cry out to you, "We shall stay here as long as you do." Um, and it's like they believe that, you are almost their new divinity. You're their new god. You have passed down the godless, and you will show them the way.
Ooh. I think also, like, in the very, very back of her head, it's like she remembers. It's like Edmund's people worshipped the Mage Eater, so it's like, oh. And she's kind of whispering to herself as she's trying to break through the crowd, and like kind of saying, "It's not what I mean. It's not what I mean for them to say. Just know that I'm trying to take care of one god, so Edmund will have a city to govern and worship at your feet when he gets back." It's like she's thinking to herself really hard about directing this message to Mage Eater, just to make sure that she's not going to offend. She's not trying to do anything like to be like the next god. She just wants to try and help the situation against pestilence.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Um, yeah, and I think you can. you can disarm their fervor a little, right? But there's definitely that strand of thought in there, um, in their hushed whispers as you kind of break free to reach the tower. Um, and yeah, it's I think like we described the last time, the mage towers have really just fallen apart without that magic to hold them up. Um, and like at the center of this rubble, you see this dark hole where there is a staircase leading down.
Dark holes and staircases. They haven't
I
led me
mean,
wrong
it's
before.
it's always
Sure.
good, right? Always good.
Always good. Always good.
Um, what uh I wonder what it is you're afraid of going down here. Like as your memory recalls that one in Newbridge going down into the virtual hell that lay beneath.
I mean, she tries to see if she can call upon that feeling again, but she feels no heat, no sense of pressure. She doesn't feel any of that anymore, and she knows that part of her has been shut down because of what she had done.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so she no longer has access to that. So whatever is down there, it'll just be something something new that she has to, I guess, find.
yeah,
It's trepidation. It's just alone in the dark. And maybe depending on how long these stairs go or what kind of way, if they go straight down or if they go like in a spiral pattern, I think she will take each step with a breath and then try to pray for guidance at this point. This should be fun.
yeah.
Won't be any problems with this at all. No, absolutely
No,
not.
no.
No.
So, what do you think? Name the aid you seek and answer one of the two questions.
Pray for guidance. If there was only a way, and this is a question, she's not really thinking of the weapon now, but like if she's just thinking, if only there was a way to get pestilence to defer her rot upon the wolf's head instead of the city that belongs to the people, Edmund, and the Mage Eater. And she's kind of like chanting this question to herself as she makes her way down the stairs.
Do you want to specify what kind of god answers your prayers?
Oh man. I feel like she's going into darkness and she's asking this question. And I feel like even though it's been quite some time since this has happened, I feel like now all of the tattoos on her arm have now started to glow underneath her skin with this very dim light to at least give her something to see by. And I feel like it's the voice of the cave that is reaching out distantly, so distantly, to give her some kind of answer.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So I think um, you see again the answers to your prayer kind of illuminate the walls of the stairwell as you descend. Um, and on them, you see um, sigils that only look familiar in the context of the wolf's head. And around them, you see these visions of individuals from the wolf's head. You know, that soldier you talked to on the bridge that morning, others that you have seen at the village that you saved from their wrath, and so on. And, maybe these are um, maybe these are faces that you'd begun to forget, but all of a sudden you realize that these are faces you saw in the crowd outside. They weren't engaging with you, they were just watching you. And the voice in the cave tells you that the wolf's head are already within the walls. They have not stormed the breach. They have they have been here since before the walls were reached. They have been in the midst as refugees.
What better way to come? Not as an army, but as people seeking shelter. Of course. So pestilence will make their way in no matter what. But there's got to
I
be
think,
something. Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
I think she's like, just kind of like mulling this over in her brain, like, either speaking out loud or talking to herself. I mean, speaking out loud or thinking. And again, some way to request, demand pestilence to actually direct her hunger, her her power against these people that have come here in disguise and wanting to infiltrate rather than overrun, while keeping the people of the city safe. And then she's like talking to her arm, like the glowing tattoos. It's like,
um, and I think here is where, you get this, I don't know, visual cacophony of possibilities from the voice of the cave.
mm-hmm.
You know, these really unclear omens. And in one, you see pestilence like striking at everyone in the city just to kill the wolf's head. And only those left in whatever remains of the high towers are safe, quarantined from the pestilence. And in another one of these scenarios, you see that the wolves that are already infected with pestilence, and they are the ones spreading it to the city. And there are more of these terrifying scenarios playing through. Each one seeming like it's answering your prayers but subverting them. Uh, until you're not quite sure which one could be true.
She eats from within. Those symbols that are on Wall's arm. Not only are they a symbol of, her connection to Voice of the Cave, but also they are the length and breadth of the knowledge that she has um, absorbed, learned from the voice. And of course, can't all be, taken in all at once. Otherwise, you would like drive yourself mad. So
Mm.
that's why she has no memory of being in the actual cave getting these tattoos. But I think, she's realizing it's like any way this goes, pestilence will strike from within and infect whom she will, whether it be the wolf's head or they're already infected and bringing it into the city. So there should be a way to get the winter creep from everyone. And I think she's just realizing as she's making her way down these stairs, there's no way to separate it. It's within everyone, the possibility of the rot. So maybe, just maybe, she'll need to try to bring that rot into herself to keep it safe somehow, contain it, so it won't infect everyone. So if it's already here, then she's just going to have to find a way to contain it so it doesn't grow deeper or outward into others. And if that means doing, taking it on herself, maybe that's what she has to do. Yeah.
So I think as this thought or um, decision maybe is a better word uh, solidifies in your mind, your foot reaches the last step, floor of this basement. And you can see this is crumbling. There's like a filigree covering the walls, showing that this is, an almost perfectly round room. The filigree has kind of turned green, whereas once it was coppery. And this is the decaying magic that kept this room and its magic intact. And you see this shimmering reflection of this verdigris. Um, from the center, there is a pool. Something is moving in the pool. You can hear a very faint splashing.
I mean, she just puts her arm down and approaches very carefully. If she still has her spear, she's going
Yeah,
to,
yeah, I'm sure.
yeah, she's going to hold
Um,
it in a defensive position, in front of her.
and so in this pool, it looks like a very shallow pool, and it's full of this dark liquid. Um, and you instantly understand that this is that the the droplet of venom of poison that fell from the heavens from your vision. And in the pool, there's a a large white snake. Uh, and it looks like it's not trashing, but like maybe going through its death throes in the pain of existing in this venom, in this poison pool.
Can't have that. She's going to not put the spear part in, but she's going to thrust the the butt end of the spear and try to see if she can flip the large snake out,
Hmm.
so at least it doesn't have to die in poison. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know what you want to do.
Um, well, I think where do
Tempting
I want to
fate. I don't
start?
know what you.
Well, I was about to say, I think you
Acting
might be,
impulsively.
yeah, I think we might start one step before that and
Okay.
recognize a god.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah. Um, when you want to recognize the signs or influence of a god of the cradle. Um, so I guess for free,
Hmm.
this is this will be in the Gospel of the Mage Eater,
Right.
even though it's been kind of subverted by the wizards.
Yeah.
Um, you're in or near their domain for sure. Uh, I don't know. What do you think? It'd be bad if you didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, like
Uh,
I think considering the whispers that Wall had made, as she was making her way down the stairs and didn't feel like somebody swatting her like the that presence in the woods did, or Vulcan or anything like that. It's like, yeah, I think she realizes that this is the Avatar, and
mhm.
yeah. So +3.
Okay.
Oh boy. 6 plus 2 plus 3 is 11. Overkill. You realize your divinity is actively trespassing against them right now. But
Mhm.
I used up my divinity, so. But it doesn't matter,
Uh,
does it?
I mean, it usually does. Um,
Well, you'll go. I mean, obviously, you say how, so.
yeah,
Shit.
I, yeah. So I
And I can't
think,
lower that anyhow, can I? Like, I'm like.
no, 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 no. Unfortunately not.
Okay.
Um, I think put the butt end of your spear into the pool and like start to, gently lever this snake out. And it kind of, puts its head on the snake and then or sorry, on the staff, and then in like what must be its last rose of energy, strikes you,
It doesn't know.
and the fangs go into your hand. I mean, I guess it's got to be the hand that's taken all the punishment through this
Yeah.
ordeal, right?
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and as this, I think the usual venom that would be in this bite is not present, at least not as strong as it ought to be. And so when you recoil in this kind of surge of pain, you get this sense, first of all, like this, uh, the mage eater existing in this uh, pool of poison for all these years has obviously kind of necrotized, diminished it immensely. Um, but that the wizards were like using its life force to nullify this heavenly magic, to uh, just stunt its effect on the world, to keep the world intact for a while longer. Um, And I think that is the magic that Azrael was really referring to when she was talking about, you having undone it all. Um,
I think. I mean, like, is it holding on? Is it holding on to her hand?
I mean, I think it doesn't
Because I
have the
mean,
energy to do anything more than just kind of flop off you, after it has bitten you.
right.
Like,
But I
it
mean,
shouldn't
I'm
be coiling around you,
yeah,
or it should be striking again, but it's not. It's just completely spent.
right. I mean, I'm gonna just call what I think this is. When you put your own life or limb on the line to help someone dangerous clear all strain. But also, I feel like, I'm just this is mortal skill, all right? I mean, I'm trying to lever lever this snake out of this pool with just using my my staff and my strength or whatever. So I feel like I'm doing both, like my divine trigger and
Um,
my mortal trigger. I mean,
well, so I'm not sure about the mortal trigger because like this is the God Eater, the Mage Eater dying, right? There
oh,
is
okay.
really, I'm not sure unless you wanted to do it, once your divinity has awoken,
Yeah.
there's kind of no mortal um power that could save this god. Um, unless you can think of a way, but yeah.
I'm trying. Trying. I don't know, some kind of I don't know if druidcraft somehow translates. I feel like, she's going to try something,
Hmm.
but I mean, I know that's not strictly, um, using my mortal wit or skill to
Yeah,
activate
yeah.
my divinity. Um,
Um,
but I feel like I want to save. Hold on, let me see.
um,
Oh, actually, wait. Withered serpent. Hard downfall. Oh. It's like it doesn't work like that. Shit. I know their downfall, but I don't. Is it? Is it a mercy killing if I do that, or will I help them be free?
yeah, I mean,
Because basically, what she's thinking of is like, she's trying to lever them out of this damn pool
mm,
because of this poison that's been
yeah.
administered to
So,
them, and she also wants to try and help them.
mm,
I mean, she knows it's probably going to be a bad idea because, like, all they can do in this last throws is react with pain, non-recognition, whatever, and she knows this is a risk, but she wants to try and help somehow.
yeah, yeah. Um,
I don't know if, like, anything that druidcraft can do to feed into them.
yeah, I mean, unless there is something, if we kind of go old school druid and say, is there some kind of leaf with some kind of analgesic effect, like a painkiller that you might
Yeah.
have or might be able to, uh, divine up,
Yeah. I mean, like, if
Um,
she wants to wield something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if you wielded a power of
Hmm.
Druidcraft, you could do something like ease the pain. to make the Mage Eater kind of, you know, uh, at least have some semblance
Belief.
of their like a rational self for their final moments, right?
Yeah,
Um, I
that's
think
what I'm
that would,
thinking.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at least something to help them be more of themselves,
yeah,
if this is
yeah.
the end. Yeah.
So do you
Haven't done this before.
no, uh, do you
Desperate for
so
this to work,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So if
which is
you're
gonna be great.
yeah, if you're looking to trigger your mortal move, so like are you putting your life or limb on the line to help them? Like how do you think you would be doing this? I have a straightforward answer for you if you're wondering.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be danger no matter what, right? Because
Uh,
she's trying to access something to help this form, this living form that's dying,
yeah.
and she's trying to use it, and she knows that regardless, like in the death throes or, pain, they're just gonna lash out. And she's willing to accept that. I mean, she's already at
Mm.
her last leg, but I mean,
Um,
she can't turn her back on this. So,
yeah. I mean, I think if you did something like, um, I mean, mechanically, if you wanted to mark one strain, right?
yeah, and then I go into five straight. I mean, I'm okay with this. I'm okay. I'm okay with this.
Because now what happens if you do
Fifth
that? Uh,
marking fifth strain is great. Yeah.
okay, so like the outcome of that would be on a 10 plus, you would clear all your strain anyway. Um, on a miss, you only clear one strain, but I guess if you were willing to risk it on that roll, you would be putting your life and limb on the line, right, to
Yeah.
help them. So
Yeah. I think this is where she will literally grasp with both hands. She'll drop the spear once she's gotten the snake out of the pool. She's gonna grasp the snake's head with both hands. I'm imagining this is like huge, so I mean whatever. And she's going to press her forehead to the snake's and just concentrate with as much as she can, like, pulling whatever she's got inside left to try to bring it into the mage eater and just kind of try to go mind to mind something. She's completely on intuition right now. She's just like, just trying to feed some energy into
yeah,
this knowledge, energy, something, you know, whatever she can wield. So desperate
okay,
for this to work. Mark one strain. She's at
yeah,
five. She could be like fading even as she's doing this. So plus one. And I'm imagining like nowhere near Lord Basfamel's
we are
shrine.
at the on the other side of the world, or at least
Yep.
the
So
map.
so so just so just a plus one.
Plus
Okay.
one, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what does this put me at? Oh boy. 3 plus 6 plus 1. Oh no, overkill. No.
Brain,
Oh,
purify, or wreck. What's about you? Okay.
go for it. I mean, this is just like the best stuff ever. Sure.
Um,
Ah,
yeah, I think you the the vestiges of the kind of the river's poison that fell from heaven, as you grasp the snake starts to, burn your hands and um you you do like ease the mage eater's pain and they are, you know, after this whole thing goes down, they will be, able to, to talk to you and be rational. But in this moment, you feel this pain attacking you, and the kind of divinity that's trapped inside you, kind of pushes it back, and this crack runs, from your feet. through to the other side of this room, going straight through the well, and that poison starts to seep through the floor of that well and starts to go into the earth. And or maybe you're not aware of it in your pain, but above, maybe not just here, but elsewhere in the world, we see people reacting to the tremors, this earth-shattering series of convulsions that is threatening to tear the world apart.
Of course. I mean, I think as it's she gave everything that she could to this to the mage eater, and what wells up in its place is this dark black sense of pain all over, like probably experiencing what the mage eater was experiencing for all that time,
Mm.
and like in an endless loop of this, um, and just shockwave after shockwave. It's like, like hitting like white light between her eyes, but then also like eating at her like some kind of like dark force. I mean, like in a way, she's kind of dimly thinking. It's like, oh, which is worse, this or pestilence rot? And she's just like, screaming in her head. She may not even have any breath left,
Mm.
screaming out loud, as she suffers her fifth strain.
Okay. So you get to choose whether you succumb or persevere.
Right.
Um,
Ay, ay, ay.
Have a look at the first option. I was like, obviously you're not going to succumb, but I don't know.
No, no, that's otherwise we're done.
Well,
um,
read it because it's interesting. Um,
if you succumb to the strain of your existence, describe how divinity explodes from you as you die, altering the cradle forever. Ooh. Yeah, that's a lot. Watching a world die. Because the divinity is not. If it's born out of pain, it has not been beneficent at all. It is not benevolent. It is going to cause horror and grief across this world. So I
I mean,
don't.
you could pitch it, I mean, however you like, right? I mean, if
Hmm.
it's like a some kind of self-sacrifice or urge to protect, right?
True,
You
true.
could do it a different way, but
In the face of that, yes, it turns into
yeah, yeah.
something. It turns into something different. Yeah. So, or if I choose to persevere, roll 2d6 on a hit, clear one strain, but also reveal one to the opponent as you fight through the pain. Strong hit, divinity surges through you, clear all strain, and describe how you forge ahead, turning a dire situation on its head. Well, we can only hope for that, can't we? All right. Well, I choose to persevere because God knows I got to see how the rest of this turns out, right? Okay. Ha! 6 plus 4 equals 10. Ah. So, yes, divinity surges through, clear all strain. I think, yeah, I think this is where, the gibbering pain, or the, like, even deeper than that, where it feels like the bones are cracking. It's almost like she's being remade
Mhm.
as this divinity is surging and like doing a consumption of its own, right? I mean, it's reacting to the pain. It's like the uh the immune blood cells like just saying, no, no, you're not going yet. There's a bit more to do. And maybe there's that kind of echo of something saying that, and instead of darkness and painful light, it's actually like more soothing, and it's like a surge as she feels like her bones reforming, like her skin moving underneath. It's just like just like all sorts of things that just make her feel like she's being remade from within, even though she probably looks just about the same as she
Mm.
had. Less bruising, less bloody. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, like she's just all of a sudden brought back into herself as if she's watching something bright come out and then get sucked back in as it's just infusing her with, wow, I can sit up. And she's
Um,
panting like as if she's like run a marathon.
how do you think um, this last phrase in this template's description, turning a dire situation on its head, what do you think you want to do with that?
Do I know at this point that do I know at this point that this poison has seeped and is affecting other parts of the world?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think this maybe this surge of divinity is also kind of giving you your access to those that kind of the understanding you had gotten from that bite from Mage Eater, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you're now understanding exactly what happened
Mm-hmm.
um when you tried to help them, when you helped.
I think her eyes are still glowing with what was awoken, and I think it's immediately seeing and feeling the effect of this poison seeping through and can't allow that to happen. So just as soon as it had come in, now it's reaching out and it's like the divinity is like white glowing gas that's coming out of her mouth and her eyes and her nose, and it's like she's directing it from her hand as well, chasing down that poison into the fissure that she had created accidentally, and it's chasing it down and consuming it as much as it can. So this way, at least that's been mitigated. Um, I don't know if you want to say that that means I'm unleashing it, or that's just part of the move.
No, I think like the turning a dire situation on its head is part of the suffer fifth strain move.
Yeah.
But I wonder, like when you say like gathering and consuming the poison, do we think that's has its own price or at least its own implication? Uh,
There's a sense of balance here. I mean, she gave to try to save Mage Eater, but then it was a backlash of power. And so, because of the accidental nature of it, it's like the divinity has seemed to balance the scales. So, dealing with the very immediate threat, which is the poison that's seeped. So, consuming it or blocking it off, like racing ahead and blocking it off from causing any more damage
mm,
elsewhere,
yeah.
right? So, closing off the fissure in its own way, right? And then, possibly consuming it and then being consumed, you know, in the balance. So, yeah. I mean,
yeah, yeah, okay. I have an idea. But
Ideas are
let's,
great.
yeah, maybe let's take a break and
Yes.
then I can let the idea percolate and then we
Percolate
can
away.
pitch for it when we come back.
Okay, great.
Uh, okay, so my idea has percolated,
Okay.
so I'm going to make my pitch.
Okay.
Uh, the Mage Eater
Yeah.
now, you know, uh, in her right mind, let's say,
Hmm.
um, speaks to you in this, obviously, um, I don't know, somewhere between, sorrowful and joyful, right? This kind of no nostalgic sense of loss. Um, Child, you have done me a great service in releasing me, and I know the burden you now bear and how terrible it can be if it is not released. But if you are willing to follow my guidance, then I will give you a chance to do so.
Will this save this the city, the people from the predations of the wolf's head and pestilence? Or will more people die?
If you strike, pestilence will be no more.
And what of the human threat that also infiltrates and consumes from within?
Well, that I cannot say. I only see one way solve one problem. You may have to rely on your other talents, your other power to solve the wolf's head.
One one problem at a time.
One problem at a time. So the reason will work is the reason it is so dangerous. The reason pestilence will not be able to avoid its lure. Gather the entire population into a great square, and you can call her out, call pestilence down, or the poison that you carry now in your veins is the black fire that she fears, and it will burn through her. But you have to offer her the chance to kill everyone in the city.
I know it's what needs to be done, but it just. People may stone me before I'm able to get pestilence to affect them. But are you. There's no guarantee that this will work, is there?
No, else you can flee and lead everyone in the city abroad, abandon the city and its way of life, flee to the four corners of this world, and then let the poison consume you alone.
While leaving the populace to be rotted or overrun. To save them, I must seem to sacrifice them. This is no choice, but it is the only one. What is the highest point now for the city?
It's some time since I was up there. There will be a tower, maybe the original tower, still standing.
Probably one that the wizards couldn't break down, but they are going to surpass to show their might. I go topside, and I will do this thing. I can't run from pestilence forever. I can't let her rule what life I have. And if I am to be burned out, then let it be on me. But I'll take her down with me. Thank you. Thank you. I hope Edmund is coming. He is. He's a champion of yours. And if I can preserve something of this city, then I hope he will govern well.
I think she slowly drifts off as this conversation comes to its end.
And Wall backs up and then heads back upstairs, knowing what she has to do.
So, what's your first step?
Heading to the original tower. And she's not hiding. She's going deliberately through the streets, the major streets of the city, on her way there, and drawing all the people that recognize her and all this kind of stuff, and just, not really saying anything, and just being very composed and saying, "Come with me.
Mm.
I I would like to see everyone in the town square by the original tower. You may not know, you may not like what I have to say, but if you will, to thank me is to come and gather."
Mm. Um, I feel like this is almost like a subversion of connect with someone, right?
Right.
You're um you're telling people what almost what they want to hear, that you're willing to lead them, but you're hiding something from them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, do you want to answer a little bit of one of these two questions from Connect with Someone? Like,
Yeah.
what common ground do we share? What still divides us? And maybe show us how Wall is reacting to this kind of change in mindset or status.
What still divides us? The fact that I know what needs to be done to relieve the infection that may be already among people or is coming very quickly. And it's specifically pestilence that she is focusing on, which is why she almost has this aura of distance, but also of the responsibility. So she feels responsible for everyone now. Like, they're coming to see what she has to say. They want to thank her, whatever it is. I mean, like, she's just trying to take advantage of that and kind of like help people to come with her, to lead them to a place where she can get them all gathered and do what she's got to do. So yeah, she knows this could be very much seen like a betrayal. So
Mm,
definitely it divides.
yeah. I mean, I think that's almost like the start of the common ground, right? Is that like everyone here is almost on something like the same path as Wall is. The the gods in some way have like made you all refugees and have like torn your lives apart. And I guess now you have hope that it can be set right again. You know. So yeah, you get to the tower, the original tower. Um, do you climb to the top? Are you making an address to the assembled population from here?
Shoot. Yeah, I think I go to the top of the tower. Even to the point of like if there's a parapet or something like that for it. It's like I think she's going to be there. One, to
Yeah. I
as
mean, I
as
think
kind of its
when
own protection. So this way, it's like in case the people decide to be like, what the hell is she talking about? Then, she's not quite within reach, but yet
yeah, yeah.
also, like above them that she can wield whatever she needs to wield with
Mhm.
when pestilence comes. But she's not sure what form that's going to
Yeah.
take.
I mean, I think when we first introduced the idea of these towers, we had this kind of sacrificial shove, of
Hmm.
gods
Yeah.
from here.
But this was the original tower
Yeah, yeah,
that is not part of the floating ones that the wizards had created to show their might. This is more of like something that was in the original town square, which is smaller than the floating towers
yeah,
because
yeah.
of its history, of its tradition and such in the original city. So, um,
So yeah, I think we have this. I mean, it's almost like a doorway. It's not quite a balcony, but you can stand on the windowsill, let's say, which is at ground level, and just, address the population. I don't know, you're like 3 or 4 stories up,
Yeah,
maybe a little bit more. I don't know.
yeah.
Um, but I guess this is what it was designed for, right? This is exactly how it
It
used to
creates the
be.
bowl. Yeah, it
Yeah,
creates the
yeah.
bowl so everybody can see and everybody can hear.
Mhm.
So, um,
And the population is like, surging in, like it's I don't know, like a sports stadium in modern ways, right? That like everyone is coming here.
yeah.
Word has spread, and yeah.
I think just for funsies, I think as she's surveying the space and she's watching everybody, like kind of wander in or, come in groups and such. I think she's kind of like whispering to herself, "Dog's tooth. I hope I'm doing the right thing."
Um, so what do you think? Are we tempting fate? Are we
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
challenging someone dangerous? I think that probably works if you're
yeah,
going to be drawing pestilence out or
yeah,
in, rather.
yeah.
The challenge is probably the first step.
Right. I think, I mean, like, well, that's the mechanical move for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, she's going to be trying to be very careful with her words so she doesn't immediately have people stampeding out or whatever. But she's also, like, kind of trying to call Pestilence in to do her worst because, she doesn't know who she's dealing with, kind of thing. And I think that's basically what happened. So once she sees that most of the people have come in, most of the people have gathered, and it's like to capacity, basically. I think this is where she steps out onto that platform, and because of the way it's built, it acoustically sends like the message out to everyone and above, so it can be heard distantly. And she says something like, "Thank you all for coming. It's been a long journey for me and all of you. We've come here in some way at some time because we were seeking shelter, refugees from someplace else. And treated badly, not respected. There were those that wanted to make sure your gods disappeared, not just because of the damage done to the river, but also because they had no belief that any god could be benevolent, helpful. I stand before you today to let you know that there is there's infiltration. There is a disease that is running. If it's not already here, it's coming, and it's coming quickly. And then this is where she gets the determined look on her face and says, "You hear me, Pestilence? I know this is what you wanted. You wanted them all here. To take them all in one fell swoop, and possibly take me as well. I challenge you, Pestilence. You bring your rot. I can see it eating many people here already. Come here and face me and see how well your power will work. Facing off against me, Godkiller.
So, when you challenge someone dangerous in front of an audience, say what foolish or risky action you hope they'd take.
Facing off against me, definitely coming to take the crowd and appear to also include me in that infection.
But I mean, you want them to come for you specifically first, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
they stay back and take the crowd,
Yeah.
like none of the plan won't come to fruition, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's obviously what she wants is to take the crowd, but what you're
Right.
like wanting her to do is take you first, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so add
Like maybe
one.
Walt clarifies it by saying it's like, she's more than enough than even this populace, you know.
Uh, um, so add one for each true statement. They care about your opinion.
Don't
This
know
is the one
about
I'm not
that.
sure about. I mean,
Yeah.
like you're
I
a
don't know
yeah,
how much they know about my current
mm,
reputation, um, or even if they know about the people, the gods that I've killed already. So I mean, like, I don't know. They
yeah,
definitely think they're stronger than me. That's for sure.
yeah. I mean, I think
Um,
if they know that you are from the cloister, and if they are in some way in cahoots with Orphan Maker or previously and the
mhm.
Wolf's Head now, then I think they know how powerful you are and how dangerous you are. And
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think, but if you don't want that plus one, I'm
I
happy to
would. I would
concede
like that
it.
plus one because I'm not sure about the last one whether the crowd is on my side
Um,
or not. Probably not.
so they think they're stronger than you. Of course, they're God, right? They always
Of
think they're
course.
stronger than you.
Yes. Yes. Of course.
Because they haven't been paying attention. And
Yep.
and the crowd is
And
on your side. I think so, right? I think because based on what you've done in the past,
hmm
and also maybe because it's a crowd, and I'm not sure they have the time in this moment to think through the steps, right? They don't really know that you're summoning pestilence,
hmm
right?
right.
This to them seems like a rhetorical
Yeah.
thing for their ears, right?
Sure. Sure.
Uh,
Um. And I don't know if they care. And again, I don't know if Pestilence cares about my opinion or not.
yeah. So uh, I would have said yes, but if you don't want that plus three, you
I'm
can
worried about the
say,
plus three.
are
Okay. All right.
you
So
taking
plus
the plus
two.
three or
I'm
plus
taking
two?
the
Okay,
plus
okay,
two.
okay,
Plus two. Oh
okay.
my god. Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh no. 6 plus 3 plus 2 is an
Okay, okay.
11. On an overkill, you push too far. Your target reacts instantly and dangerously. Tell me, how does pestilence react to my speech?
So,
It's damn exciting.
yeah, I mean, I think a couple of things happen. One
Mhm.
is you can kind of see like the crowd is packed tight, right?
Mhm.
But you can still see this kind of wave going through it. And you can kind of almost see like one person puts a hand on another person's shoulder and then it kind of moves forward through the crowd. And then you see those sigils that you didn't notice at the time of the wolf's head, you know, start to, move through the crowd like sharks in the water. And they're now in the tower. Um, and you can feel the the pestilence moving through the crowd, but also start to creep its way up the tower. So like the brickwork starts to I don't know if there's like ivy on it, it starts to blacken and blister and rot right there and then. And it's like moving up the tower towards you. Um, so yeah, I think that is instantly and dangerously like threatening you and your plan on all kind of levels. So what do you think? Are you gonna let pestilence, this rot reach you and trust in Mage Eater's plan, or are you gonna do something else?
She's muttering to herself while Wall is like seeing all of this happen, and she's feeling like the coppery taste in her mouth of fear. And this is how she normally reacts when she sees signs of pestilence. But she also remembers that time that she'd looked out the tower and evacuated for this reason. And she's trying to stand her ground now, and she's leaning hard on her spear and looking at the crowd desperately, looking for that woman with long white hair. That is that is pestilence. I know, and she says out loud, I know you can't do your thing without seeing the results of your terror. I know you are here, and I know you cannot resist watching everyone being eaten alive, watching all of the living things die by your hand. Come out now. So I think. Hold on. Just trying to see like what would work. I mean, I feel like at that point, like even as things are starting to decay, I feel like this would be where pestilence would kind of like show herself in just like a haha, I'm like, I'm doing all this and there's nothing you can do about it kind of thing, and then she's going to inflict violence,
Okay.
on this person, on this person. That's what she's going to do.
So how cinematic do you want this to be?
Oh, like the whole like like camera pan, and then like the dolly zoom and everything like this. It's like I see pestilence, and I'm going to throw my spear and all the power behind it of the black fire into this move.
Do you want to dial the cinematic to 11 or
Go for it. Whatever you think looks best. I mean, like,
well, so I guess right they reacted instantly and dangerous, and you kind of like you call her out again, and I think you do see her at the at the base of the tower, people all around her, you know clutching their chests, coughing, scratching at their throats. Um, and behind you, you feel the rush of a few wolf's heads,
mhm,
and they grab you just as the rot reaches up onto the windowsill where you stand.
mhm,
Um, and you have this sudden realization that like they're gonna throw you out.
mhm.
So, I mean, do you want to be launched at
Yes,
pestilence?
yes, yes. This is totally from what, like 300. Yes, absolutely. I think it's like as I feel like like they're drawing back and they're ready to toss me, I just like flip my spear so this way it's like I'm ready and aiming, and then like I'll just go with it. Like they push, gravity falls, and then like she's just gonna aim the spear, but then she's going to use it as a focus point. So maybe not even until like it reaches her, but she's pulling on the black fire from within. The poison, it's like it's infusing itself into from her arms, like the swirling dark gas or whatever, and then it's like infusing into her hands, which is infusing into the spear, and it's like it's creating this like this swirly gas cloud aiming straight for
Yeah.
pestilence right at the bottom, and along with with Wall, of
Hmm.
course. And
Um,
she's continually, even as like she's dive bombing with the spear, she's keeping her eyes directly into pestilences,
yeah.
so she knows who's the one doing this.
Hmm. So I guess we should inflict violence, finally.
Yeah, finally
Uh,
inflict violence. Wish you
uh,
harm, yes. Desperate, hell yeah. Personal, hell yeah. I
yeah.
don't care at this point. Oh my god, let's just go for it, right?
Okay.
Like, uh,
It's snake eyes or boxcars, right?
close. 6 plus 5 plus 3.
Ooh, okay.
On an overkill. Do you want to read it this time? Oh my god.
On an overkill, you lose yourself to righteous fury. I will tell you the costs of your divinity. Um,
If you need time to think about it, we can take another break.
no, no, no. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I
It's exciting,
what?
but I'm like laughing because I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my god, I'm full of terror.
I wonder if there is like the way you are killing pestilence, with this thing from the river, this divine poison. It's not your usual Godkiller route. It's not pulling on that part of you. It's pulling on some like the actual divine power within you. And I wonder if this means that um I mean I could go two ways, right? I can go
Hmm.
either it like burns out that divine element that is within you, or it like makes you become like fully divine.
If
I
you
don't know
want
if
to roll
you have
for
a
it, you can.
preference.
I don't. I want to know what you plan on doing.
I mean,
What is the cost of my
yeah,
divinity? Yeah.
the cost of your divinity is you're like leaving the human self behind.
Oh shit. Which makes sense because if I'm dive bombing a god
Yeah,
from
that's pretty
several
fucking
stories
metal.
up, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Ooh, cuz. Oh boy.
Okay, so yeah, um, this black fire, this poison is like dripping from the blade of this spear as basically hack her apart. Um, I mean, I think we should just cut straight to kill a god, right?
Yeah, sure.
I think
Absolutely.
I think the move still applies.
Yes. Oh boy.
Um,
Fun, fun, fun. Yes. Okay. Confront a god true form. Yes. Exploit their downfall. Yes. Describe how you slay them and roll 2d6. Yeah, I mean, I feel like okay, if we're gonna keep going with the whole like, grimdark 300. I mean, like it's pretty much where like we see the tip infused with this black fire slash smoke, and it's like the squelch, the sounds, the gore of this going through the middle of Pestilence's forehead, right down, straight down, and then from behind, as we're getting this visual of like Pestilence being split and the rot like almost, converging but then dissipating because the person who's the source of it is being split and dissipating as well
Yeah,
in the face of this black fire.
yeah. I mean, I wonder if like all of the pestilence that's like in the people immediately surrounding her is like getting drawn in as it like trying to
Exactly.
feed her power.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
Um,
she needs it. She's trying to keep herself together, and she
yeah,
can't
yeah,
because it's being burned even as it's being drawn back in. So, yeah, the floodgates of like all the people that are like, like as things are being drawn out from them, even from the wolf's head that
yeah.
had thrown wall like off of the tower. It's like they're also reacting, as the pestilence is being drawn out and then being drawn down because pestilence is trying to regain some rot to
Yeah.
fuel herself, and it's not happening because the fire keeps burning it as it happens.
So roll them bones.
Oh god. Oh, 2d6. That's an 8. Amazing. Oh my god.
So they see something vital from you as well. Name what vital part of yourself you lose.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, like, at least the wall cleared all strain, that's for sure. Um, there's some vitality lost, right? Because even as this part of pestilence is being burned out because of the black fire. I mean, she's still trying to look at Wall like eye to eye, or eye
Hmm.
bulging out and
Yeah,
popping out like with eye to eye. I think she's like also using that to try and draw some stuff out of Wall as well, like in desperation because she also had tried to infect Wall, and that is drawing some of the vitality out of Wall. So Wall's hair is turning white, and there's color being drawn out of her eyes. So I mean, it's just like um, yeah. I think it's like it's kind of like some of life is being drawn out of Wall. So white hair, pale eyes, um, just this sense of exhaustion because yeah, Pestilence is trying to hang on with as much as she possibly can.
do you think there's any kind of ramification to like your divine powers? Or is that kind of completely untouched? Like it's the human part of you that's almost getting burnt up.
It's the human part that's getting burnt up,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Okay. Super.
I mean, she's still retaining the features and like heritage of the people of the north that
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
from, right? But I mean, like, again, it's just like that human living part is just being trying to be drawn out because it's like Pestilence is clutching at straws right now,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
anything
yeah.
she possibly can, and that's one of the things that she's trying to hang on for dear life.
Um,
So yeah.
I mean, it'll almost be um like a bizarre irony can be pretty ironic sometimes that, that white hair and bleached features is almost like how we have described pestilence, right? There's something of her in you now, even though
Even though it's
uh
not.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay. I think that's a good point to take our break.
Okay.
Okay. So, um, I think we're going to move into a more epilogue part of the game.
Right.
Um, I guess the big question I have is for Wall, how do we see them take on this mantle as a god now? how do we see them like in this immediate aftermath, like how we do we see them like greet the people of the city and like raise it up again, um, and then maybe we can ask some other questions after that. But that's the kind of initial aftermath, and
Yeah,
her new divinity is
right.
is where I want to concentrate on initially.
Sure. I think the camera had seen, like, Pestilence essentially being taken down. She was trying to absorb all of her rotting power from everybody else to try and bolster against Wall's onslaught with the black fire. It wasn't working, and then like at the very last, Pestilence was trying to grasp something within Wall to clutch onto, hold onto, so this way she didn't go. And what she did was she just essentially pulled down Wall's mortality with her, like her humanity with her, and ended up getting burned out by the black fire, which also caused Wall's humanity to get burned out mostly with the black fire as it was dissipating with Pestilence's power. And what stands there on top of the remains, the remains are of signs of decay, the bits, brittleness, or moldiness or mildewiness that's just kind of like remaining. It's almost like they're shuddering in a very strong breeze, but they can't coalesce. They can't come back together. And what stands amidst that is someone who looks like Wall, somewhat of the same form, but there's a glow underneath their skin, and all of the script that was on their arm has changed somehow. It looks the same, but then yet it moves. It's almost like, whatever's needed at the one moment, like the knowledge kind of moves out of the way or comes back into place or whatever. So it's constantly moving, you know? And then her eyes are pale, her hair is pale, but not in the same sickly, empty sense of pestilence. It is pure white and glowing, as well as her eyes, which do not have the dead, wan nature that maybe pestilence has had, but something very, very lively and vital, like more than human vitality. And she just stands there staring at the remains and then looking up at the wolf's head, who may be looking down at her with something like akin to fear. And then Wall will raise a hand and point beyond the stadium. I don't know what else to call it. And coming up the path is this growth. It's almost like grass has kind of like, come into place like behind the rot, which has very much receded. And in this path comes a cart or a carriage, and in the cart or the carriage steps out Edmund. And in a very echoey, hollow from the bottom of a well voice, I think Wall says, "There, there is your monarch returned." So
Okay, that's
that's the first
a
ending.
a good answer. Um, in in the future, I wonder, do we see Wall with a new name, a new title, and do we see them being worshipped in any way?
I think we see an old woman. more elderly beyond elder, but yet somehow still more youthful in her movements than anyone would have suspected. And from the look of the robes and the symbols on the robes, maybe we think we're back at the cloister. And this is, God, I'm terrible with names. Um, this is her mentor, whom she protected, whom she saved, and attending to her is the little girl that Wall had saved, attending her, and this little old woman, shrunken, but again, like I said, more vital than would be suspected for her age, starts to tell the story of, and she was known as Walang Tao in her language, from where she'd come. It meant nobody. But she is nobody no longer. And I forget what name. I mean, like it's kind of like we see like the little acolytes like kind of like in a semicircle around her, and the camera kind of drifts away as draws back as she says the name, and she tells the tales of Wall's work and what she had done. And so we don't get the name necessarily, but then like we go fade into a different path somewhere elsewhere, and it looks like a forest path, relatively benign. It's sunny. The trees aren't so heavy that they've covered and blocked over the path with with their canopy, and like the sun is shining through, and we see this person, this entity, striding through. They have a spear. The blade looks like it's been reforged, as if it's taken on some of the black fire, but not in a negative way. Like it's almost like an extra edging to this blade of the spear, the tip. But the strong Rowan staff supports it just as much. This person has tattoos of symbols that are moving, constantly moving on their skin, and the pale eyes just look pleasantly upon the path ahead of them, while behind them, the path just has like this lush growth, kind of springing up behind. And they're not saying anything, they're just kind of looking and smiling a little bit, and their hair is just like kind of blowing in the breeze. And behind them, it says, "Look, you don't have to come up with a name for yourself. It's something that somebody's going to give you, right? I mean, they're gonna come up, they're gonna be saying it's like it was," and then like kind of like throws out his hands and says, "It'll be whatever name they give you. But that's not the important part. The important part is," and he kind of grins with the one little canine tooth sticking out. "The important part is what you answer to. Just like me." And of course, Dog's Tooth is coming up behind this person and putting a hand on their shoulder, stopping them in the path, and taking a little look. What does Dogtooth think of his companion and how she appears now?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if um, he has this pretense that this is exactly the way he knew he was going to turn out. Like, yeah, yeah, see, I knew it. Um, I mean, I can't take any credit for this, of course. I mean, I just gave you some really, really helpful suggestions.
Her pale eyes turn to him with this broad smile on her face. And the voice that comes out is something very resonant, very melodic, but also very distant sounding, like the sound of a bell. Of course you didn't. You couldn't have known. But then again, neither could I. Where do you go now?
I mean, this path seems like it's more comfortable to walk on back the way I came than forward. But hey, let's see where it leads us.
Are you that curious to find out?
Absolutely. That's the fun of a mystery.
And she just smiles and then turns back to the path and continues onward. And there's, again, growth, not only behind on the actual path itself, but maybe also blooming a little bit, like on the side. Not too much. I mean, like, not, not what would be not expected for this time of year, but it's lusher. It's just more full, more bountiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think my last question is the one suggested. How have you or how do you think you will change the cradle forever?
I think as she walks this way, she will make her way through, trying to give some kind of sense of growth and change to where she is. But then soon she will become curious enough to rise up and go to the river and see if she can help direct some of its power for change to help the areas of the cradle that were affected by pestilence, that were decimated in Orphan Maker's wake. Go back to where the devil had made his way and burned out heart in that part of the world and try to give something back. So, yeah, I mean, she's going to walk. If Dogtooth wants to come along and help, she's not gonna mind. Absolutely not. But I think she might return on, like, maybe star-filled nights when the river is able to be seen at its brightest. And then maybe there will be those at the cloister that will recognize something has changed. Maybe the river doesn't look quite so corrupted as much as it did. Maybe there will be not the presence of despair, but of hope.
Yeah. So I think that's it.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Any we'll do some stars and the wishes off recording, but any last thoughts or things to say?
I think it's interesting with the mortal moves. Hold on, let me just double check the sheet. Yeah, I find it interesting with the mortal moves, and as deliberate this seems, it's like I applaud this. I love how the mortal moves are questions, parts of conversation that we have with each other, the GM and the player. And then the divine moves are random. Leave it up to chance to figure out like how bad or how good it's going to be for uh, doing the divine or doing hints or wielding, powers of the divine. So I really enjoyed that very basic aspect to the structure very much. I think it's very effective. Um, and I love these conversations that we've been having because it's like, all right, what do we think will be happening? It's like, okay, how bad can you make it? It's like, what do you think you do? I mean, it's such a great back and forth, and I really, really enjoyed this game a lot. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really curious and can't wait to see the full version of the game when it comes out. We may have to revisit
sure.
when it does,
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that is where we'll leave it, at least the recording.
Yep.
If you got this far, thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much for
And
joining.
congratulations. Okay.
Exactly.